As the last example of this topic, I want to teach you guys how to handle the form. As we discussed this topic already when we learned about HTML. So as a kind of a last topic in HTML, I demonstrated if there is HTML, how we can send the information from one HTML to the following PHP page. But that time, I did not give you all the detailed instructions. But this time, let me give you some more details about how to handle those forms. So first of all, the starting page would be your HTML page. So in your HTML page, inside the body, let's suppose we have several inputs. Again, inputs means where users can provide some informations. So in this example, we have three inputs. So after name caption, we have first input. After age caption, there is a second input. And the third input is type equals to submit. So with this submit type, you know that we can create a button that user can click. So using these two inputs, with the type equals to text, we can create two text boxes. And the web user can enter the name and the age in this text box. Since the receiving part, because after you click this button, this will be sent to the other PHP page. In the receiving part, you have to distinguish which input. So to do this, I told you it is very important to set up the name for each input with a unique name value. So this is very similar to primary key of your tables. So with this unique name, you can retrieve the values that user entered. So although I did not demonstrate the user interface yet, you can just imagine there is a click button. So you will click it, and then this form, this inputs must be sent to certain page. So to send this information, what we have used, we used the form. So form, you can consider this as a kind of envelope. So inside this envelope, we put all those information inputs, and then we are sending this similar to poster mail. We can, we need to specify where you are sending this, and you need to also specify the method. So to specify the to address, we need to use an attribute called action. So in this case, we say we want to send this form to welcome.php file. And then also how to send this, we use the method post. There are two different methods, post and get method. So we are going to compare these two methods shortly. But anyway, this is a starting HTML page. Then, since welcome.php is a receiving part, receiving file, we have to add some codes, and we need to create this file. So the bottom one is welcome.php file. Again, this PHP file looks similar to HTML, but inside here, you can find some PHP code. So if you look at this single angle quotation with the question mark and PHP, so this is beginning block of PHP and where it's ended. Actually, it's in the same line, we just ended this PHP block. So it's a very short PHP block. And also note that in one HTML block, can we add another PHP block code? Yes. Actually, in one file, in PHP file, you can add more than one PHP blocks. So here we add another PHP block and we end it. If it's not PHP block or other areas, this part is our HTML pages. And also note that now in this PHP block, what we are doing, we are just echoing certain value. And if you look at what value you are echoing here, now this is not very strange because now you know that with the $, we are using certain variable, right? But this is kind of special variable. Special variable starts with this underbar. If $, followed by underbar, that means it is a system built-in variable. It's not user defined variable, but this is a given variable, and you cannot change the name of this variable. So what special variable we are using? In this case, we use $underbar post variable. And also note that all letters are uppercase for this system built-in variable. So $underbar post is a variable, and this variable is not simple variable, but it is array variable. And for the array variable, we have to provide an index, either numeric index or meaningful name index, or it's called associative array variable. So if you forgot, there are two types of array variable, numerical and associative array. And this case is associative array. And to provide the index for the associative variable, here we give this name and age as the index. Why we choose this name? Because this is matched with name of your input. So using this name as an index of this associative variable, we can retrieve the value. So the value is automatically saved in $underbar post variable. So if you echo this with the name as an index, you can retrieve the value that user entered in the previous web page. Similarly, if you want to get the value for age, you need to use input name age here, and everything is case sensitive, so be cautious. One more note, when you enter the index of those associative array, in this example I use the double quotation mark, but single quotation mark is kind of standard. So you can either use a single quotation and double quotation, and when I run actual code, I will use a single quotation mark for the index. So let's test this in actual code. Okay, so in the same directory, let me create a new file, and this file is example, post example. So let me type post example dot. In this case, it's not PHP, it is HTML. So HTML. So post example dot HTML. Okay, so the post example dot HTML, I will edit here, and I want to use HTML tag. So let me type HTML and hit enter. So it will create this HTML tag. And I want to add the body. So I will hit after type body. If you hit enter, okay, so you have this bodies block. Now to add the form, you can just type form and then hit return, and then it will give you kind of skeleton for form tag. Okay? And then inside the form, I want to add input. So input and hit return. So it will give you some skeleton code as well. And let me add another input. So let me add one more input here. And then hit return. And then I will also add one more input. That would be the submit button. So let me hit enter. Okay, now before this first input, I want to say name, and the second input, I want to add caption age, and between these two, I just want to add line break. So let me add line break, and then before the button, I also want to add line break. So add line break, and the last one is button. Therefore, the type is not text but submit. And for those two inputs, we have to specify the name. So name will be given here as a value. And again, the second one is also we have to provide the attribute name. And the first input box, let's use name as a name. And the second one, I want to use age as a name. Okay, now for the form, we already have action attribute. Action is the next page you want to send this information. So let's say welcome. And since we are testing two methods, post and get, so I wanna slightly change the file name, underbar post.php. And there is one more attribute. What do you need? Method. So method equals to, currently we are testing post method. So let's specify it as post. So that's it. So let's save it. And I want to check the user interface. Upload it. And then go back to your browser. And the file name is the same directory. But we want to test this post example.html. So we have this page, name and age. But still, when you enter your name and if you enter your age, if you submit, it will go to welcome.post.php, but we do not have this file. So the error message is not found. So how can we fix it? Sure, we have to make this welcome underbar post.php. So go back to your directory and then let's create a new file, and this file would be welcome. It's all case sensitive, be careful. So underbar post.php, this is the file that we need to make. So welcome underbar post.php. So let me edit it. So view and edit. Okay, so welcome.post.php, as we have done before, let me just copy the skeleton code. So we have a HTML body and the PHP block. And in this case, we have multiple PHP blocks. So let me add one more PHP block in the same line here. So here, what we want to do is we want to combine this with some HTML. So outside the PHP block, everything is HTML, right? So we can just type a text welcome. And then here, using PHP, I want to retrieve the name entered in the previous HTML page. So what we can do, echo. And what is the variable that keeps the value? $, special variable underbar, or uppercase post, because we are using post method. And then this is array variable, because we do not have just one input, there are many inputs. So many values are stored in this same array variable. Therefore, we have to use index. So how to specify index? With this bracket, and inside you will specify index. Okay, so what would be the index? It is associative array, and you have to use the name used in input. So the first one is name, second one is age. So the first one, let's use name, and then you will retrieve the name value entered by the user. And then let's add, this is the HTML part, right? Because we have closed the PHP. So we can just simply add the line break. Now, before this second block of PHP, I want to add this text. Again, this part is HTML. But now we are entering this PHP block. So we can type echo and underbar post, same variable. So same array variables, but we use a different index. What is the index? The name of the input box. Oh, actually, I forgot to add a semicolon. Although it's one line code, but we need to close them with a semicolon. Okay, now after this, again, this area is HTML. So I will just type years old. So in this PHP page, using the user input entered in the previous HTML page, we can create this new web page. So let's test it. Save it in your browser. Now let me submit. So you can see this new result. Welcome, Huncha. You are 48 years old. And on top, you are looking at this welcome.post.php file. So we are calling this file, and this file will retrieve the value the user entered in the previous web page. Okay, now I want to compare this with another method called the get method. So this example is very similar to the previous one. So the first part is almost identical. Only one difference is method has been changed to get method. So if method is get, now in the receiving part, you have to use a different array variable that's underbar get. Again, this is built-in variable, so you cannot change the name, and everything is uppercase starting with underbar. And using this method, you can still retrieve the value that user entered. Then you may wonder, what's the difference? Why we use this different method, get method? So while I practice this with the actual code, I will show you what's the key difference. Okay, now let's go back to your directory, and then let me create a new file. And similar to post example, let me say get example.html. This is just a simple HTML file. So get example.html. Okay, now this get example.html, I want to edit it. And to edit this, I will go back to post example.html and copy everything. And then in get example, I will paste it. Only one thing that I need to change here is actually two things. First, instead of welcome underbar post, I want to change to welcome underbar get. And the method, instead of post method, I want to change to get method. And then save it. After you save, don't forget you need to upload the file in FileZilla. Okay, get example is ready, and let's test in your browser. So instead of post example, I want to change the file name as get example, and you will see the same result. Okay, so if you type hun, and let me just type my age one more time. If you submit it, again, you will get the error message not found because you do not have welcome underbar get.php. But this time, you will see some difference. It's not just the file name. The file name is followed by the variable name and the value that entered. And there is another variable age and the value entered by the user. So as a part of your URL address, all the values the user entered has been exposed in the URL address. That is very different from the post method that we have used before. So before we move on, let me just fix the error first, and then I will give you some further explanation about this. So first of all, we have to make a new file, create a new file, and this one will be welcome underbar get.php. And then this welcome get.php, we will edit it. And then again, similar to welcome post, so we will just go back to welcome underbar post, and I will copy everything. And then welcome get.php, I will paste it. And everything is the same, but I will change this post to get. And also change the second one from post to get. And I will save it. And then upload it here. And then go to your browser. And I will move back. And if I resubmit, now I get the result. But again, now, although there is no error, the difference you can find here is if you use get method, all the values that user entered would be exposed here. So to compare this get method and the post method, let me go back to post example in this tab. And the first step, let me show you this get example. So I will type same thing. So let's say Hun Cha and 48. Same information I entered. The first one is get, second one is post. So in the first method, if I submit it, I'm showing the same result, but difference is the value that user entered will be exposed here as a URL address. For the post method, if you submit it, you will show the same result, but now on your URL address on top, you cannot find any information the user entered. So in terms of risks, of exposing the information, people may say post method is better. But why we use this get method then? Because if you use post method, let's say you want to share exactly the same page with this name and age with someone else. If you share this URL address, let's say welcome underbar post.php, suppose I just copy this link and I share this with someone else. And if someone else opened in this new tab with this address, can she get the same result? No, because already values are lost and you will get just error message undefined index if you just copy and paste this URL address. But if you use get method, you have this result, and this result is based on those inputs in the URL address. So if you just share this link with someone else, I will copy this, and again, let's say I open a new tab and I paste this, then what's gonna be the result? Actually, you can show this same page. So this is very useful functions. Post, you can hide all the information, but you cannot share the exactly same page with others because all the information will be lost. So when the get method would be useful? So for example, let's say you are sharing a resource in the library with someone else. And let's say the address is library.php, and if there is a unique documents ID, it could be question mark document ID is certain numbers. Then with those document ID as part of your address, you can easily share that specific documents stored in the library website. If you use just the post method, you will never share that specific documents with someone else, as I showed you before here. So if it's not very critical information, using this get method, by pointing some values as part of your URL, it is very efficient way to share any specific web resource with others. So in real world, we mix this post method and get method together. Okay, so that's about form handling using PHP.